Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Choices Finding Your Joy. Paula Vail here, and again today I just have an absolutely fantastic guest. I have been so excited for this interview because I just fell in love with Amy and her voice and everything about her. We have with us today Amy Barbera. She is
Woo!
a happy,
Hello.
fun-loving, see, you can see it already,
Yeah, in
bubbly,
the house
down-to-earth
too.
girl, not
Yeah.
afraid to open her heart to the world. She's an accomplished live performer and professionally trained session vocalist that has dedicated her time to helping others time and time again. And she's going to talk about her amazing albums, everything she does. So, first off, welcome, Amy.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, so happy to have you here. It's a happy day.
It is a happy day. Beautiful weather here in South Florida. Yeah.
Love
Like
it.
80s.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. It's a burr here in Washington.
Isn't it amazing? Like years ago we couldn't do this, like interviews like this, and
Yeah,
now with all the technology we can just do interviews from anywhere all over the world.
it's so
Amazing.
fantastic. Uh, let's begin today, Amy, with having you share a bit of your background and what brought you to where you're at today.
Wow. Well, I'm originally from Hagerstown, Maryland, which is a very small town in Maryland. We have one Walmart and four high schools. So when I moved to South Florida, I thought it was like big city, you know. Um, and I always loved to sing since I was small, but I didn't really have a lot of confidence. But in elementary school, I entered a talent contest against the whole school, and I sang my favorite things from The Sound of Music, and I actually won. I don't remember, like maybe second grade, third grade, and I won money. So that kind of boosted my self-esteem, but it wasn't something like that I knew that it would be my destiny in life. And then in my teen years, I developed the eating disorder anorexia. I don't know if you're familiar with eating disorders. Um, so I went through a terrible period of, I got to about 80 pounds, which I'm like 125 pounds now. You wouldn't believe it. 80 pounds, and went through very deep therapy. And it was through the journey of healing from anorexia is where I decided that I wanted to move away from home. It was through that healing process and, forgiveness and, my mom and I are so close. I actually take care of my mom now. But at that, when you're a teenager, you fight. And so as I was healing from the eating disorder, I also, went to my mother and I said, I'm so sorry. And that's when I decided to move away. But I love fashion. I got best dressed in high school. So I originally moved here and went to the Art Institute for fashion. But I knew at that time I wasn't meant to sing. I knew I hadn't quite given my life to the Lord at that time, but it was like God was speaking to me. And I took a year off from college. I saved money. I worked as a waitress, planned the whole thing. And I'll never forget, I worked at Pizza Hut as I was going through the process. I was like 20, I think 21, 20, 21. And this girl, Becky, I used to work with, she said, one day you're going to be a big singer. It was like God was giving a word through her, and she's since passed away. She's very young. I think she either got murdered or something in my hometown, but it was really crazy. But anyhow, I'll never forget that, her saying that to me. And then I moved to South Florida. I went to the Art Institute, and 6 months into moving to Florida is when I gave my life to the Lord. I went to a church, and the pastor in the whole church said, your destiny is to sing. And the pastor said, I want you to get up and I want you to sing in like 2 weeks. So I planned. I sang Amazing Grace. At that time, I didn't have my own songs. I was shaking like a leaf, scared to death. And this lady at the church, Pat, prayed for me because I was so scared. And as soon as I stopped singing, everybody was crying. All the men at the church, the pastors are like, you're anointed to sing. And they put me up as a worship leader right away. And so that's kind of where the journey started. And then I started training a lot because even also prior to the anorexia, I also had to have vocal cord surgery. And this is before moving.
Wow.
So it was like almost like the devil or whatever you call it was trying to take my calling, my voice, even before it began. and I was a cheerleader in high school. And my favorite all-time artist is Prince, which I was devastated when he passed away. And I used to sing with him in the bathroom, in the basement of my house. And, you know, he screams and shouts and sings really high, and I wasn't trained. And then also cheerleading. So I was working at Pizza Hut. I could tell that my voice was very hoarse. I asked my dad if I could go to the doctor. Of course, I was on his insurance. And we took me to an ear, nose, and throat. And I had 5 vocal cord nodules on my vocal cords prior to knowing my calling was to sing. And I decided to go through with the surgery. I had to be put under, and they had to remove them. Not knowing, like 2 or 3 years later, I'd be moving to South Florida. And that would be my destiny. I mean, all the singers, Adele's had to cancel. Whitney Houston, all of them have had. Celine Dion had to cancel tours because of that. But so that's why I knew, like, when I started singing at the church, I had to take, you know, I had the gift, but I started training. And it was through the training that I developed my, you know, vocal cord training skills. And then I started songwriting. He started giving me songs. It was like part of the whole journey. And I have hundreds of stories to share. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you, but that's kind of where it began.
Oh, I love it, Amy. Tell us about your 2 albums, Breath of Angels and Beautiful Flower of Life. Tell about those. Tell us about
I have it right. This is Beautiful Flower of Life. This one was released in June of 2008. My grandma passed away in December of 2007, and he left me a little bit of, you know, inheritance. And it was like, because my grandma was a singer, and I ended up singing in her funeral. And I had terrible bronchitis. We had to fly in from Florida to Maryland. It was snowing. It was freezing. My dad immediately took me to one of those Med Express. So they diagnosed me with full-blown bronchitis, but I was able to sing by the grace of God. And it was through that. And I know my grandma in heaven, you know, was encouraging me that I was able to release the first album. The first album, it was a process. Like, I worked on songs here and there, and I worked with a wonderful voice teacher, Norma Mendoza, who I'm still friends with. And she's like, you've got to set a goal. You got to write it down. We got to do it like a destiny board, and you've got to release this album. So I had all these songs, and at that time, social media wasn't really big. I think I was only on MySpace. So I had already released some of them on MySpace for people to hear. And so it was through working with her that I released the full album. I had a CD release party. I did a concert. So that's kind of where that began. But throughout the process, like, I have a song called Make Me a Butterfly, which you saw the video. That song was from the first album. It's become my signature song, but I never did a real music video. And so of all the songs that I have, I said, I have to do it with that one. So it's actually been around for a while. It's just the video is new. So, but I had a lot of friends that I met on MySpace that had cancer, and of course, going through my own anorexia. You know, the song can be interpreted however you like, but, you know, I wrote the song for people that feel like they're trapped. It could be through illness, through mental illness, through stress, anything, and just to be kind of free. And so many people have written me, and I've sang in so many places where, you know, people say it's like it touches them, you know, but it's God, it's not me. So, and he gave me the song. I was sitting at my job. I was working as a secretary in a lumber yard, and that was a great job because I had my own office, and I used to listen to like Christian radio, so I got uplifted. And he said, Joe told me if ever I have downtime, I can do whatever I want. So it was by the grace of God, I was able to be on MySpace. And one day he wasn't there, and I was like, I had all that, and the song came to me. It was like, so I went to my producer. I worked with two major producers at that time, and I sang exactly the lyrics, the melody, and then how it kind of all came together.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What would you say brings you the most joy in creating these songs?
Well, I think making songs that help other people, inspire other people. You know, there was a time like where I struggle with, okay, should I go in the pop direction? or, you struggle, especially in your early days. And then I thought, no, I have to stay true to what my destiny is, and I'm so glad. Because even now, like, people will write me and they'll say, you're so different, you're such a breath of fresh air, like somebody wrote on my Make Me a Butterfly video, or somebody wrote me the other day, like, God, we need more music like this. And I'm glad that I stuck to the direction that I'm going rather than try to go in this other direction. And I'll never forget, I was asked to sing in Cleveland, Ohio, which it was in December. It was cold as anything. I used to be on this radio station. Her name is Kimber and her husband John. They were the DJs, and they had grandchildren that had this very rare genetic disease where they were in the Rainbow Babies Hospital, which is kind of like St. Jude, but it's called Rainbow Babies in Cleveland. And they were putting on a big event, and they loved I have a song called God's Special Angel that I wrote for sick, handicapped, special needs, orphan children. And they said that song has helped our family through with our grandboys. So they flew me in. It was freezing cold. I'm talking like 10 below. It was like 2 weeks before Christmas. We were at the Agora Theater, which is like where all the rockers and rappers, and it's a very famous theater in Cleveland, but more for rap and heavy metal and rock. But they rented out the front space because they kind of knew them, and because they were DJs. And they had all these artists, like rappers and rockers and pop, and they wanted me to open. And I was so nervous, thinking everybody's going to make fun of me. Ugh, I'm crying even thinking about it. When I got up on the stage, the total opposite thing happened. Like, the rocker band was crying. I got off the stage, the guy like, you're real. And then the rappers were, and then Kimber and John called me, because the Agora, all the people that work there, they're so used to that. They didn't even come out, but they said for some reason when I started singing, they came out. Like, they were so touched. Like, so I was so nervous, like thinking, oh, I'm going to be like the weird one of the group. And it ended up being the total opposite, and so that God showed me that you stay true to who you are, it works. But I had these people, God had used me to have these people were crying, like these hardcore rappers, and this couple guys, and the one guy in the rock band was like bawling, like it was the anointing. But I was like, oh wow. So, and Kimber still to this day, because we're friends on Facebook, she said, you stole the show that night. And I opened, thank God. So I had the whole rest of the time to just, relax.
Oh.
So
I'm Amy, it's just so amazing to realize all the lives that you touch with your music. I mean, that is so beautiful.
Yeah, it is amazing. I was like, people write me and I'm like, I'm not like a big star or anything, but I say, I get to see a little bit of what it's like to be, like somebody, like a Celine, although I don't think Celine writes her own songs. And so for me, it's like, I've always loved artists like Prince, or like artists that are original and that really write from our, like Queen. I just went to see Bohemian Rhapsody, the Queen. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Like, I want to be like who God created me to be. I don't want to be singing other people's songs or, trying to sing cover songs. Every once in a while at a concert, I'll do a cover song, and it makes you feel so good that somebody says, oh my gosh, your song. And that's a song that God gave me to, sometimes even for myself. Like, I'm working on a song called Jesus Set Me Free to Fly. It's not out. It'll be out next year. And I wrote that song, singing in the shower, so stressed out, like for myself, basically. And I said, and even when I sing it, like, it makes me cry. I love singing it because my producer and I've already started a portion of it, but that, then you realize, because this song could really, other people could relate to this song, kind of like Make Me a Butterfly, or, God's Special Angel, or different songs.
Yes. So do these songs, like the one that came to you in the shower, do you literally sit down and say, okay, I want to come up with a song today? Or do these ideas and these words just come to you randomly?
They come to me randomly. It's amazing. Like, I'll give you a story. I have a song called My Sweet Pea. I call my soon-to-be husband Sweet Pea. And because he loves music. He was signed with Sony when I met him. He's toured with Stevie B back in the 90s. So
Oh.
He's a police officer now with Broward Sheriff, but I call him Sweet Pea. It's a pet name. He doesn't even mind. Even his deputy friends, they tease him, Sweet Pea. And he was showing me this, I can't remember the name of, they're American Idol people that maybe didn't win, or The Voice, and they came together and they do vintage versions of pop songs. And it was so amazing. Like, they take a Lady Gaga song and they'll do like a 1940s. And TC says to me, you should do a song like that, like an original song like that. The very next day, he's sleeping because he has to work that night. And it just came to me, like the chorus, My Sweet Pea. And I started singing in that style. And I met this amazing producer, Kiss Kitty. She's from London, and she's blind, but she's a genius of music. She can sit down. You know, she's like a Stevie Wonder, and she's also born with perfect pitch. She worked with Michael Jackson when she lived in England. Like, she did some backup for one of Michael Jackson's songs. And I just felt like I work with my main producer, Ben, but for some reason with that song, I felt like I was supposed to work with Kiss Kitty. I went to her house because she has a recording studio in her home, and she has a big grand piano, and I just sang it exactly. And she sat down, and she's in a band. So she said, well, I'm going to bring my drummer in. That song will be released next year. People are going to be shocked. I'm singing in the Ella Fitzgerald style, but it's my song for TC, called My Sweet Pea. And we did a music video, which has got Betty Boop in it. And so I don't limit myself. Like, I write what I feel. I'm not saying I have to write a Christian song, or I have to write this type of song. I just write what I feel. And like with this album, my second album, Breath of Angels, which is more like a healing meditation, I was in my yoga class. I was extremely stressed. I'm in the class. Craig, my yoga teacher, he's like almost like a counselor when he just goes around the room now. Just be and don't worry. Like, you just feel like you're almost in church or you're in counseling. And I'm laying there. And at that time, I was working on an album called Paint Me a Rainbow, which was going to be more inspirational pop type stuff. Completely going in a different direction. And then the Lord spoke to me, says, I want you to do a healing meditation album. But it was through that class that it just hit me. It's just like, that's how it hits me. It's like, it's something that I get an idea, or, and now having Oreo, my dog, I want to do a song called My Puppy Love. And I also want to do that in vintage style, but I have to be inspired. Yeah. And it just comes through inspiration, through anything. It could be through anything.
Oh, how special those songs are, Amy. I mean, how special and unique.
Thank you so much.
You sharing your inspiration and your beauty, and that coming through you, and doing, so much for so many people. I mean, music heals us in so many ways. It really
it does. I have a couple stories to share in regards to, like, at events that I sang at, and not really about me, but more about like what God showed me through people. I suffered through cystic acne really bad in my 20s and 30s. You can't tell now, but because I'm not breaking out now, and it was really hard for me. And so I kind of had this thing where I could relate to people with like skin diseases. I'd watch the Discovery Channel. I'd start crying, I had to sing for this event. I was breaking out. I was very discouraged, and I didn't want to be there. And all of a sudden I get there, and the guy that came out to help me literally had no eyes. Like, his eyes were like they had the skin over them. I was like, okay. So I go in the bathroom. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just sang. Everybody was touched, whatever. And I cried. Like, before I even sang, I thought, oh, wow. So as on the way out, because he's helping me take all the equipment out and everything, and he said, oh, I had developed cancer in my eyes, and they said if they didn't take out my eyes, he was so happy. I was like, wow. So that really was like, I was like telling him, well, I was broken out, and then God set you before me. Then I was singing for an American Cancer Society event, and I used to do a lot of charity events and I sang at children's hospitals in Chicago. Actually, I sang in Chicago. But I was singing at this American Cancer Society, and at the end of the day, I had like a God Special Angel table. At that time, I don't even think I had my first album out. I just had the song God Special Angel and stuff like that. And this Jewish lady, her son was special needs, which I have a big heart for special needs. And she said, well, he wants to help you clean up your table. And he was like so happy to do this. And she said, oh, he loves to help people. Well, he's sitting there. It's like 10 o'clock at night. He's cleaning up my table. And he's like so thankful and happy to do this. And I started bawling because, even talking, because I said, the Lord showed me that this is what I see as great. The world sees like movie stars or big singers or big athletes is great. But this is what I see as great. So I ran over, I'm like crying, ran over to his parents. And I started telling them, and of course they're Jewish and I'm a Christian. And she said, I know exactly what God is showing you because, she was the one that overcame cancer. So she starts telling me that he served her when she had her chemo and how he brought her soup and so that's another. And then at my church where I said, and this is I want to write a book kind of about this. And then at my church, I was the worship leader. And there was one Wednesday night, I didn't want to go. I was in a very bad mood. And I said, this is all fake. Like when you go to church, you have to be, praise the Lord. I'm driving to church. And I'm like, God, I don't want to sing tonight. I don't want to talk to anybody. So I went there with this kind of attitude where I'll just get up on the stage, I'll sing, be there, whatever. So I was waiting before service started. And all of a sudden, there was a mental institute behind our church. And this girl, Maribel, who's, I don't know what was wrong. She had some kind of mental condition, but she would come with greasy hair and dandruff. And she had stuff like tore up shoes and stuff on her dress. And she would get up and just really worship God. She would try to ask for money from people and stuff. But, we knew something was wrong. So you didn't.
Yeah. And
she brought her friend from the mental institute who was like a Forrest Gump. That's exactly like a Forrest Gump. And he had his Bible. And they come over to me, and of course I told God on the way I don't want to talk to anybody, but for some reason I just felt like I wanted to talk to them. It's like so hard to say. And I just said, well, what happened, in your life? And they started telling me. And he's like, well, when I was a little boy, my mom was on drugs and tore me and put me upside down and gave me brain damage. And then she starts telling me, like, when I was in school, people would beat me up and call me a nerd and tell me I was ugly. And I just like I'm doing now. I lost it. So we had to go up for prayer. And I'm like, and I had to sing like all the solos. And they're like telling me, I wish I could sing like you. Because that's what brought them to me, because they wanted to tell me they love my voice. Mm-hmm. And they were holding me up at the front of prayer. I couldn't even stand up. They're like not even upset. They're like, why are you crying? Because I was more feeling their pain in a way. And then I got up on the stage, the music, the drummer, all the band was playing. I couldn't even sing. I'm like sobbing, like to the point where you couldn't even control it. And finally about 10 minutes in of me just crying and the music just going, the pastor just brings me off the stage. He wasn't mad. It was just something so the Lord had showed me to take all my Easter money. My parents used to send me money when they lived in Maryland. And I went out and got her new clothes. And so so these are like, I have hundreds of stories like that.
I love it.
It's really beyond the music, actually.
It really is. And Amy, can you share with everyone, please, your website and how they can reach you and buy your albums?
Well, if you Google Amy Barbera, it's AMYBARBERA. My website's at the top. It's amybarbera.com. And I'm on everything: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube channel, Google Plus, everything, everything. All of my music's on CD Baby, Spotify, Amazon. What else? Oh God, there's so many. CD Baby, Amazon, iTunes. So I have about 40 some songs and two full albums, and then some digital. A lot of digital stuff that I haven't done on an album, but you can buy it, download it, and stuff. Yeah. So I'm crying. I'm sitting here like, I wasn't planning this. But I wanted to share beyond like the music, because I wanted people to know, because like that it's not really necessarily about me, it's about these people.
Yeah.
And
we have just a few minutes left in the show. Share that message. What last message do you want to give everyone today, Amy?
Well, I just think it's, to be aware of other people around you, what they're going through, whatever gift you have. We all have our own gifts and also what I'm learning, God, this has been a year of God just teaching me to be a servant. And I've been taking care of my sick mother. I have to go over and bathe her tonight after. And it's not always easy, and I think, just serving other people and using your gift to help other people is, I think, the main message,
I
that
love that, Amy, because
yeah.
we all have our own beautiful, unique gifts. And I love that you worked in a restaurant. I was a former restaurant owner and in that restaurant for 27 years, and just feel I have a server's heart. I loved it. And we get great joy in serving others and doing for others, don't we?
Yes, yes. Much. And this has been a big year with me,
How
God
we can
showing
do
me.
that.
With my mother, with the dog. I have a couple friends that are sick, and it's hard sometimes because you have your own life, but then you think, well, I really need to, this is what my mom took care of me, and now I should take care of her. I think it's the right thing to do.
Yes, yes.
So,
Well, I am so excited about your albums. I'm so excited about all the new things. Is there any other new projects that you didn't share with us that you'd like to before we say goodbye?
yes, for Christmas, I'm a Christmas fanatic, and I'm recording now. We're doing like a medley, kind of like a mashup medley of "Oh Come All You Faithful" and "Oh Come Let Us." Hark the Herald Angels Sing and "Oh Come All You Faithful," which will come out in Christmas, probably in December sometime. I have a whole bunch of Christmas songs up online. I have 3 original Christmas songs, and then I have, I've done Silent Night and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Eventually, I want to do a full, real Christmas album that's like a real album like this. But in the meantime, I have about 8 songs Christmas, and I'll have another one this year that'll be coming.
I
So,
love it. I love it.
and then
Oh,
the Jesus Set Me Free to Fly and the Sweet Pea song, which is already done. The video is done. I always wait for the right time to release anything. I never rush. And so that'll come out next year too.
oh, I love that title, Sweet Pea.
My sweet, it's so funny because people will be like, I call my dog Sweet Pea, or I call my child Sweet Pea. So it's going to be a song that people are going to interpret it for whoever they love or whoever they call Sweet Pea.
Oh, Amy, I just want to give you a heartfelt thank you for all the lives that you touch.
Well, thank you. And you too. And you're so sweet and nice. And
Thank you so much. And to all our listeners out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you for joining us. Amy, love, hugs, and blessings.
love to you too. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Same to you, honey. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Amy.